Welcome to Series Though Podcast. I'm your host, Ron. Each week, we'll dive into topics that matter to you, whether it's harnessing your tech, hacking your habits, or just making sense of the world around you. Series Though. Let's dive in. Welcome to the show. We're going to take a serious look at something deeply ingrained in modern life, ultra-processed foods, UPF. We'll cover what they are, how to spot them, why they raise concerns for your health and the industry behind them, and how you can make healthier choices. Let's go. You know I got some stats for you. According to studies published in the British medical journal, ultra-processed foods now make up over half of our total daily consumed intake of food in the United States. Let that sink in. For children and adolescents, the number is even higher. That's researchers from CDC, Center for Disease Control. Shows approximately 2/3 of the calories consumed by these age children come from you. What that means probably too is, while, they're playing games, or I call it digital crack now, because that's what it is. They're consuming ultra processed foods, those pizzas, those little bite-sized things, or maybe some cookies or whatever they're consuming that we're giving to these kids. It's not good. So keep that in mind, the whole process. And health impact studies, including those in the Journal of American Medical Association, indicate higher consumptions of these foods is associated with increased risk of serious conditions like cardiovascular disease, certain cancers, metabolic syndrome, and even increased, mortality. More recent research also links them to poor mental health outcomes. And we're going to get more into that poor mental health outcomes, because you think about it, a lot of times we may want to get motivated or do things differently, but we don't think about our diet that's still affecting us in a certain way. But we are going to get into that. So right now you might be saying, Ron, I don't know what ultra-processed food is. Let me tell you. They aren't just foods that are cooked or cut up. Ultra-processed foods are typically formulation made mostly from ingredients derived from foods like sugar, oil, fats, proteins, carbohydrates, but which have been altered through extensive industrial process, meaning that they're doing a lot of things to make this stuff taste really good. So when you're eating those Oreo cookies and you're like, ooh, they taste really good, think about their ultra-processed. And we're going to get into some other things too, like that mac and cheese in the pack and stuff like that, oodles and noodles, ultra-processed foods. Here's how you spot them. Long ingredient list often contains 5 or more ingredients. So think about that. I know a lot of times we go to the store and we pick up stuff because, we like it. And some people say, they may be listening to this like, I'm going to eat the way I want to eat, because I want to feel good. I mean, you can still do that. If you want to do that, I'm just making you aware of what you're eating, because it's slowly killing us. And we don't know when we're going to die. But guess what? We take this out of our life, it makes it a lot better. So long ingredient list. Unfamiliar ingredients. Like if you can't pronounce the name, usually it's something crazy, or it could be high fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated oil, protein isolants, emulsifiers, thickeners, my favorite, artificial flavors and colorings and preservatives. Also, aggressive marketing. Packaging is often designed to be highly appealing. When we had that one chip challenge, that was definitely ultra processed, and people were just spazzing out when they're eating that. Another thing about it, ultra processed foods, they're convenient. If you're eating something that's ready to eat, ready to heat, or designed to be incredibly tasty, something described as hyper palatable, it's an ultra processed food. And we give it to our kids, and then we give them the digital crack, which is the electronic device. And then we expect them to be normal kids. You got to remember, in our time period, a lot of people in my age group, we didn't have that. So you got to keep that in mind when we're doing that, when we're giving them the digital crack, or we're using digital crack ourselves and having ultra-processed foods, and we're wondering why we're not feeling so good. Here's some examples. Sugary drinks, packaged snacks like chips and cookies. Because you think about chips, right? Potato chips used to be like potatoes, oil to fry them, some salt. But now you look on the label. I want you to look on the label now and see what's on there. Candy, breakfast cereals. Breakfast cereals, I don't even know what's going on. I seen some breakfast cereal one time that was ices. I'll post a photo. You remember those little icy drinks you get from like 7-Eleven or something like that? They had some cereal for that, like made out of that. You use the flavors. But they're really sugary. Reconstituted meat products. I say this to a lot of people, right? I grew up eating, any kind of sandwiches or making lunch meat sandwiches. But where does that meat come from? How's that meat like all nice and pretty like that? Do they got the cow just take a piece off and then start slicing meat, turkey sandwich, turkey and Swiss? Is that like the whole turkey? Or did they use that meat glue to glue it together to give you that nice look like that, right? Hot dogs, instant noodles, mini frozen meals, baked goods. These are all ultra processed foods. I'm not telling you what to eat. I'm making you aware of what's going on. I'm going to tell you this too, why they consider them they're not good for us. From National Institute of Health. First and foremost, men and women, if you don't boo-boo in a few days, then you might have an issue there. Poor nutrition profile. They are often high in added sugars, unhealthy fats, saturated fat, trans fat, sodium, while being low in essential nutrients like fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Fiber, you definitely need the fiber to make the boo-boo go. Engineered for overconsumption. You know how on the package it says, if you actually read the package, it may say, eat a cupful or eat 2 chips or something like that. No one I ever met can eat 2 chips or eat 3 cookies or something like that. We eat the whole pack with ice cream included. The combination of flavors and textures and ingredients can bypass your body's natural fullness signal, making it easy to eat too much. And we give our kids this stuff too. And then we wonder why. Why are they acting like that? Why are they all hyped up? What's going on with them? Impacts gut health. The lack of fiber and the presence of certain additives can negatively alter the balance in your bacteria. I'm not a doctor, but it's got to do something to your stomach. You got to think about it. Sometimes you may eat that Breyer's butter pecan ice cream. You feel good. And then after a while, your stomach is just like, it's calling. It's calling for the bathroom. I don't know what's going on. So there's some kind of issue there, which it is vital for digestion, immunity, and even mental health to have good health. Your gut, they're saying now your gut is like your second brain. I didn't say that. You can look that up yourself. But you know how you say, I got that gut feeling? Think about how the gut feeling goes less and less when you have that Red Bull or sweet tea. How do you feel? They're also linked to chronic physical diseases, obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and certain cancers. So a lot of us want to be great people and we exercise, we do a lot of good things, but we don't focus in on our diet. Even when you focus in on your workout, you may find some of these, we need protein, I need this, you don't know that until you go to the doctor and maybe run some tests. And so we're eating sugary stuff that we think is going to help us out with our workout. It may make you feel good. It may give you that energy you need, but it could be causing you to work out even more. So keep that in mind. Look at those ingredients of what you're consuming. And then the one thing I really want to point out is that a lot of us listen to a lot of motivation or we hear people say, we need to be better people, do better things, but we don't take in consideration that our diet may be stopping us from being a better person or being motivated or stop us from procrastinating. It also impacts mental health. Growing research links high ultra-processed foods consumption to increased risk in depression, anxiety, negative impacts on mood and motivation. This may be due to effects on the brain, which is the gut brain, inflammation, blood sugar control. Let me break that down for you. It's basically saying the food that we eat, the one you're saying, you know what, I only live once, YOLO, I'm going to eat the way I want to eat, or my kids are going to eat what I tell them to eat. But think about the side effects of it, right? They already got digital crack. We already got that using our devices all day, every day with eye strain. We got to decide what's important. And this is probably one of the easiest ways to change and feel a lot better. I'm telling you, it does work. I want to talk about sugar-free. Sugar-free does not mean that you're using better foods. It means the manufacturer are using non-nutritive sweeteners and sugar substitutes like artificial sweeteners. They are synthetic compounds that taste sweet but not metabolized for energy. Examples are like aspartame or Splenda. We also got sugar alcohols. These are carbohydrates with chemical structures similar to both sugar and alcohol. Also, alcohol has sugar in it too. So I just throw that in there. Maybe fake sugar. But also one thing that stood out in my research doing this podcast, this is something from the World Health Organization recently advised against using non-sugar sweeteners for weight control long term, citing the lack of evidence for long term benefits and potential links to increased risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and mortality. Yeah. That's crazy. If you're going for that non-sugar Coca-Cola or non-sugar juice or something like that, look what's on the label. You may want to change or do something different because that's not the right ticket for you. So let's talk about food in America. It's really consolidated, but there's some big brands. You have Conjure Brands, General Mills, Kraft Heinz, Tyson Foods, Coca-Cola, Nestle, Pepsi Cola. Those are a few. What I want you to do is whenever you buy something, I want you to Google it and see who owns it and what's the origin of that company. You'll be surprised who owns that company because we always want to say something about something. Don't buy this product. But the food, I don't never see anyone protesting food. I mean, not like we do everything else. This is something that we probably should be protesting because it's really out of control when you really take a deep dive into food. Food can make you get into an argument with somebody. They don't want to talk about it because if you think about it, food makes you feel good. It makes you have a great conversation with people. You cook food. It's something that we do every day. It's not good food that you're eating. You get very defensive. But I think you need to think about what they're saying. Maybe even, look it up and see what they're talking about. Just take that time while we're doom scrolling on Instagram or doom scrolling on news or whatever we're doing. Let's look at the food that we're consuming. Take that label, spin it around, look up the words that are on there. I challenge you to that. That's probably our hardest task to do because guess what? We don't want to change and we don't want to know what it is because it tastes good and it makes me feel good for a few minutes. Okay. And then after that, I'm just constipated and can't do anything else. Those companies I mentioned have a vast portfolio of brands, in the supermarket. So keep that in mind. But I also want to hit on something else. Also, there's serious claims that companies historically known for tobacco, particularly Philip Morris, who once owned Kraft Foods and General Mills Foods, used marketing tactics for food that were similar to those used for cigarettes. If you think about that, think about cigarettes. At one point in time, there was a lot of cigarette ads, a lot of commercials, a lot of billboards. It was on TV shows, movies, cigarettes. You were cool if you smoked cigarettes. Think about that. Now look at it. You're only cool now if you vape some liquid that's chemically made that tastes really good. A little switch up on you. And you may say, how are tobacco and food linked? Creating highly desirable, potentially habit-forming products. If you think about it, I had one product when I used to eat ice cream. I used to love Breyer's butter pecan ice cream. I mean, I could almost eat the whole thing in one sitting. I mean, I was highly addictive. And I know everyone has something that we're highly addictive and we say, oh, it's just the one thing I eat. It's not that bad, but it really is. So they make that aggressive, persuasive marketing. They make you think everything is great. They say low fat, low sodium. This one, it's good for you. It helps with gut health when they talk about yogurt. But if you look what's in it, it's a lot of other stuff in there, maybe natural artificial flavors, which that's a whole nother podcast that I did. So check that out. Minimizing, denying health risks, funding other places for research, using public relations to cast doubt on science. So keep that in mind when we're in the store shopping. Usually they say the center of the store is probably where you find all of the processed foods. It's really difficult to maneuver through, but I'm going to talk about some alternatives and how you can do better. I do want to hit on this subject for you too as well. I want to move on to healthcare, right? Why some doctors barely ask you diet questions during your appointment. If you think about this, and you tell me if I'm wrong or not, you may go to the doctor for an issue. How many times did the doctor ask you, what did you eat? How often did you eat that? They may ask you, do you smoke? Do you drink? But do they say, do you eat a whole box of Oreos in one sitting? They don't ask you that question. And the reason why, at an appointment time, you may go into your doctor's appointment, fill out the paperwork, and then once you go into the doctor's office, you're sitting there waiting for the doctor to come in. He or she walks in and they say, well, I went ahead and got your prescriptions going. Just confirm your pharmacy for me. And that's probably it, right? In some cases. Or they may come in and they may say, hey, what's going on? And then you tell them everything that's going on, but you don't say anything about them 2 cheeseburgers you had with the large fry and the strawberry shake with a cookie. And they prescribe you meds while they still got the stethoscope in the plastic around their neck. It's because they don't have time to talk about your dietary habits, because dietary habits can get complex. Also, insufficient nutrition training. While medical school covers basic nutrition, many doctors don't receive extensive training on dietary counseling. They don't have the training on it. It's not their fault. It's just the way it's set up. So you have to be a food wizard now, especially with the digital crack that we use, these devices. You can become good at getting the right foods. They focus on acute problems. Doctors often prioritize immediate symptoms, diagnosis, and medication management over preventive measures like diet, which may seem less urgent in a brief visit. So your diet, so they're not worried about your diet. You're not worried about your diet because you're like, YOLO, I only live once. I'm gonna eat what I want to eat. I'm definitely gonna eat this. It's really stacked against you. Also, lack of resources. Doctors may not have easy access to registration dietitians or comprehensive dietary resources to refer patients to. They don't know where to send you. While you're doom scrolling, look up the food. But there is some good news out there. Change is possible, and focus on a healthier alternative lifestyle. You don't have to become vegan. You don't have to become pescatarian. You don't have to have the paleo diet there's so many diets out there. Just make a lifestyle change. I always tell people this because they ask me how I did it. The one thing that you like the most, like I liked Breyer's ice cream at the time, start with that. Try to get rid of that first. Because if you get rid of something that you enjoy the most, the rest of the stuff becomes a lot easier. That's how you got to do it. So the best approach is to build your diet around whole, unprocessed, or minimal processed foods. And you may say, Ron, this is expensive. I don't have time for this. I mean, you can find deals out there. You know how when we're doom scrolling on a digital crack, you can look on there and find some deals for fresh or frozen fruit or vegetables instead of fruit snacks or canned fruit in syrup. But also, some people say to me, oh, they're sprayed with pesticides and all the herbicides. And I'm like, okay, like some of them are and some of them are not. You got to rinse them off. But right now, it's an alternative to what you're doing. You have to change to something different, especially if you want mental clarity and more motivation and able to do those things. When you listen to the podcast and they telling you, you need to be motivated, you need to get things done, you need to figure life out and do all these other things, but you got to change your diet. Opt for whole grains like oats, brown rice, quinoa, or sugary cereals and refined breads. I want you to do a bread challenge. I did this one time. I said, let's put this bread in a cabinet. And we put the bread in the cabinet for, I think it was like 2 or 3 months. And we took it down and it was still looking like it was regular bread. If you like bread, you may want to find somewhere local that make bread. Or you try to make bread yourself. A lot of these things we went away from because a lot of people don't realize the older generation, they used to make a lot of stuff. They used to make their own bread and can their own food. You got to get back to the basics in order to feel good. Select lean protein. Like everybody want protein, right? I had to throw that in there for you. Like beans, lentil, nuts, seeds, fish, poultry, lean meats over processed meats. My whole thing about that is, I don't eat meats or anything like that, but I'm telling you, just be aware where you're getting it from and cook it the way you want to eat it. Some people think of this as a badge of honor. I've been told before, I don't drink water. Like, what? You don't drink water? Oh, no, I don't drink that much water. I don't like water like that. That tap water tastes nasty. I'd rather have me a soda or a juice. Think about what you're saying. Drink water. Read the labels of water because sometimes they put stuff in the water too. You can have unsweetened tea. I would recommend the tea leaves over the tea bags because the tea bags have plastic in it. Coffee instead of soda. Fruit juice instead of energy drinks. And when I say fruit juice, 100%. Look on there and it has one ingredient. If it has multiple ingredients in there and sweeteners, because your body will get used to you. If you change your lifestyle and eat less sweet stuff, it'll get used to it. I'm here to tell you. Cook your meals at home and use some basic ingredients. I bet you most of us have a ton of seasonings and stuff in our cabinets we never use or we bought for one thing. I did an episode on AI. With AI now, you can just take a picture of what you got and create a recipe just like that. So while we're doom scrolling on that crack device, you got to use it for something to help you to be a better person. Another thing you could do, I have a couple friends that do this, is growing your own food, which is a powerful step for a healthier lifestyle. It does take a lot of work, a lot of persistence, being patient, using your AI tools or whatever tools you have to help you understand what kind of sunlight and all the other things about the plant you're trying to grow. But it'll give you freshness and nutrition. You control what you're eating, and there's no pesticides in there or anything like that. You know how someone said that? So you grow your own stuff. You'll realize that most of the vegetables and stuff that we get, and when they're ginormous, they're really small when you grow them on your own, when you don't put any kind of fertilizer or anything in it. It's also going to save you money in the long run. You may say, right, my electric bill or my water bill, but it's going to save you money on food because it's just going to keep reproducing in most cases. Also, therapeutic. Gardening can reduce stress. That's what they say. I like gardening because it does. Just seeing something go from a little itty bitty seed to a big plant, and then you're eating that plant. The best one I had is a lemon tree. They don't taste the same when you grow them yourself. You just got to grow one. Try it. And guess what? You don't have to start large when you're doing the garden. This is probably the best time to start a garden because most of the stores got their gardening stuff out. And usually by June, they're clearancing stuff out. So you can just start with, a little small little pot in the windowsill, start with like herbs or lettuce or something, and then work your way up to vegetables. But this is a good time to start the growing process, no matter where you are. And then I would do it indoors. And some people say, hey, I don't want bugs in my house from the dirt or the soil. There's alternatives. You can use hydroponics. You can use coconut husk, make that the soil instead of regular soil, and just add the nutrition in that are natural nutrition. But there's other ways of doing it. So changing your diet and staying motivated, this is often the hardest part, especially when faced with life issues like stress, fatigue, and lack of time. We always say we don't have time, but I want you to also do me a favor. On your device, you can set it to see how much time you're on your device and then take that time to start this whole process. But you got to set realistic goals. You can't just say, I'm going to go ahead and change my whole diet all today because you're going to fail. I'm here to tell you, I did the same thing myself. Focus on the progress, not perfection. So once you get rid of something, be proud of yourself. Feel good about that, but keep moving. Educate, empower yourself. Learn, use these AI tools, use online tools, listen to other people's story, plan and prepare. You may have to make meals ahead of time because sometimes you're at work and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to buy some food from my local place right here or buy this. So plan and prepare. That way you're setting yourself up for success. Get that shopping list out. Identify ways to connect to other people that are doing the same thing that you're doing. And also, if you have kids, you got to get them involved. Get them off those devices and have them understand, hey, we're going to change our diet up. We're going to do something different. It may not be easy at first, but also address underlying issues, right? If stress and lack of sleep or, emotional difficulties are driving unhealthy choices, try addressing those difficulties through stress management techniques, prioritizing sleep, or seeking support through therapy and counseling, because that can help you out as well. The other thing was, I kind of mentioned this before, but build a support system, right? Tell people about your goal. Get people involved in it. Not saying that they have to support it, not saying that they are going to support it, but they may remind you because people love reminding you when you're doing something you told them you wouldn't do. Keep that in mind. Also, find healthy coping mechanisms. So when you're faced with difficult emotional things, you got to find a way to get through that. It might be exercise. It might be mindfulness. It might be yoga. It might be hobby. It might be puzzles. It might be Lego. It may be painting. But you got to find something to get you through that, because if you don't, we're going to fall right back in the trap of where we were before. You got to be patient with yourself. It's not going to happen overnight. These goals that you're setting are small goals. And remember, stuff happens and sometimes we fail these goals. But also focus how you feel. That's the main thing, and I wanted to hit home on that because you will feel different. You may have a better clarity. You may be able to sleep better. You may stop being constipated. You try to go to the bathroom, you're like, yeah, it may just flow out. I know that's a little bit TMI, but that's a real fact though, when you think about it. And we talked about a lot, so I'm just going to summarize this up right here. Understanding ultra-processed foods, the industry behind them, and their impact on our physical and mental health is vital. It's a vital step. While the challenges are real, by focusing on whole food alternatives, consider growing some of your own food and implementing strategies for gradual change. See the key word I said, gradual. Gradual changes, sustained motivation. We can navigate our food environment more concisely and make choices that are truly nourishing. Serious though. Thank you for listening. And there we have it. Another episode of Serious Though Podcast in the books. I'm your host, Ron. Hope it added some value, laughs, or maybe just a good distraction to your day. To keep the good times rolling, please subscribe or follow the podcast right here where you listen. You can also find me at Serious Though Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Help the show grow by sharing it just with one person. Easy, right? Seriously though, thank you for your support. It means the world. Catch you next Friday.